Sweetie, we've had that conversation.
Yeah. Transformer 3 next week.
The Fighter
yes.
Is your DVD pick of the week, which I thought was one of the best films of last year. Great film. Christian Bale's fantastic. But he's not the only one.
Yeah, you see, that's the point. Is everybody says
he's not the only one, because he wouldn't work without Mark Wahlberg.
When Christian Bale won his Golden Globe or his Oscar, he said, I couldn't have done a performance this big without a performance as small, as quiet, as constrained as Mark Wahlberg.
And he's right.
And he's exactly right. For me, although I think The Fighter itself is to some extent The Wrestler light, the centre of it is Mark Wahlberg. I really rate Mark Wahlberg as a performer. I remember the first time I saw him in Boogie Nights thinking, boy, that guy can really act.
He's really good.
He's terrific. Obviously, the eye is drawn to Christian Bale because it's a much bigger, much showier performance.
And to return to where we were at the beginning, Bridesmaids, it's got some of the scariest women in the cinema.
Oh, yes.
Are the sisters of those
two. It really has. You would not mess with that family.
You absolutely wouldn't. Thanks very much, Mark. And if you want to find out more about the latest movies on release, Mark posts regular updates on his BBC Film blog, bbc.co.uk/Mark Kermode. That's it for this week. Our thanks to Mark. Goodbye.
Hello there, you may have heard we've got some hot weather on the way. Mind you, blink and you miss it. It might only last a couple of days, but a bit of a shock to the system nonetheless after all the recent cool weather. So a warm and increasingly humid prospect through this weekend, but before that happens we've got some rain to get through. It promises to be a particularly wet night. Here's the warm air lurking to the southwest. It's being blocked from us at the moment by a very active weather front, hence all the cloud. Once that's through, the warm air will gush up towards us, but that cloud will produce a fair bit of rain overnight. It's already raining out west, and through the evening this wet weather will spread its way northwards and eastwards, so we'll all see some fairly significant rain. That is away from northeastern parts of Scotland, where it'll stay dry. Quite a cool night here, but elsewhere a pretty warm night in actual fact, and very humid, so some mist and some fog around exposed coasts and hills in the southwest. It's going to start off pretty grey the weekend with further pulses of rain around. Gradually that rain will reach the far northeast of Scotland. Elsewhere it'll tend to die away. That is away from some exposed western coasts, and there's every chance that where you live things could well brighten up by the afternoon. Where it does brighten up, it'll start to turn quite warm. East of the Pennines, for example, whereas to the west it probably will stay rather cloudy and damp. There's that rain reaching the far northeast of Scotland, but for the rest of Scotland, after a bit of an iffy start to the weekend, things will brighten up quite nicely and warm up too. So 21 degrees in Belfast is entirely feasible later on in the afternoon, despite the breeze. Now, towards some western coasts of Wales, it might stay a little bit damp and murky, but again, to the east of the hills, to the east of the moors of southwest England, I'm reasonably confident that that cloud will break up and it'll start to feel pretty warm, Glastonbury included. And up towards the London area, it could well reach 25, maybe 26 degrees by the end of the day. Good news for Wimbledon goers, of course. After a dodgy start to the day, the cloud will break up with increasing amounts of warm sunshine later on in the day. On Sunday, another pulse of wet weather pushing up across parts of Northern Ireland and Scotland, particularly the north and the west, but further south and east, as you can see, plenty of sunshine, and temperatures that certainly will respond to that. It'll be even hotter on Sunday, with temperatures potentially getting up into the low 30s in one or two places. As I say, that could well be something of a shock to the system. So a little mini heat wave on the way. If you've got any concerns about the impact of the heat on your health, then that's the number to ring. 0845 46 47. Warm weather on the way.
The man who killed the Surrey schoolgirl Millie Dowler is told he will never be released from jail. Levi Belfield is already serving life for murdering 2 other women. The judge called him a cruel and pitiless killer. Millie Dowler's family attacked the justice system, describing the trial as a mentally scarring ordeal for them, and said they still don't feel justice has been done.
I hope, whilst he is in prison, he is treated with the same brutality he dealt out to his victims, and that his life is a living hell.
In my eyes, justice is an eye for an eye. You brutally murder someone, you should pay the ultimate price, a life for a life.
During our questioning, my wife and I both felt as if we were on trial. The questioning of my wife was particularly cruel and inhuman, resulting in her collapse after leaving the stand. We despair of a justice system that is so loaded in favour of the perpetrator of the crime.
Tonight, the Director of Public Prosecutions says the trial has raised fundamental questions about the treatment of victims in court. Also this evening, the early morning Olympic rush hour. Thousands log on to try to get the latest batch of 2012 tickets, but they're running out fast.
Unless you were in right at the beginning of the session this morning and successfully submitted, you haven't got much hope.
EU leaders urge Greece to accept new austerity measures as the Bank of England warns that Eurozone debt is the most serious and immediate risk to British banks. And more Murray mania as Andy gets set to take on the big server, Ivan Ljubicic.
And join me for Sports Day just after 6:30 with all the news from Wimbledon, including Britain's last two survivors in the women's singles crash out of the tournament in round 2.
Good evening and welcome to the BBC News at 6. Levi Belfield, the man who killed Millie Dowler 9 years ago, has been told he will never be released from jail. The 43-year-old, who's already serving life for murdering 2 other women, was described by the judge as a cruel and pitiless killer. Outside court, Millie's family said the trial had been a truly horrifying ordeal for them. They attacked the justice system as loaded in favour of the accused and said at times they'd felt as if they were on trial. Tomorrow would have been Millie's 23rd birthday. Her mother said a day doesn't go by without them thinking about the life she may have led. From the court, Robert Hall reports.
A normal girl snatched in the blink of an eye on what should have been a normal day. A girl whose innermost thoughts and secrets were revealed to a court and the world on the instructions of a killer eager to divert a jury from